Hello and welcome to the Philosophy podcast. This is episode 193, The Aeolian Way with Jeremy Sovoy Jordan. The Oakwood University Aeolians have a long-standing and proud tradition. Over the last few years, they shot to international fame. Jeremy Jordan is tasked with keeping the flame alive. Ever since Jason Ferdinand moved from Oakwood, the choir world started to wonder what was next for the Aeolians. After their 2019 National ACDA performance, they were thrust into the conversation about the best collegiate choirs or the best choirs in the world. I started to wonder who the next director would be and what kind of pressure might be attached to that job. Enter Jeremy Sovoy Jordan, an Oakwood alum, a composer, a conductor, and multifaceted musician who knows, loves, and appreciates the history and tradition of this renowned ensemble. In this conversation, Jeremy and I discuss what it has been like to take over the group and his dreams for the future. We also discuss ideas about programming in terms of repertoire, as well as philosophies related to creating an ensemble cohesion and culture. Tune in, have your thinking stimulated and challenged, and then weigh in yourself on Facebook in the Philosophies group or on the Substack in the private comments that are there or the public comments, philosophy.substack.com. Be sure to stick around to the end. I am really excited to announce, after many requests, there is now a Philosophy merch store. All you need to do is go to the website, philosophy.com, look for the shop button in the top. You can find Literacy is Equity shirts and sweatshirts and signs for your room. You can find the Thank You for Your Mistake signs, which I love to put on the wall of a classroom, as well as a variety of other show designs. And you can sport your Philosopher status by going to philosophy.com/shop and checking out the store there. Y'all, this is an unscripted ad that I'm going to throw in for Ludus. They've been our sponsor for a year, and I just wanted to pass along a little bit of off-the-cuff information. Ludus has a new feature that is also free to you, like their other features, but it's a volunteer organization feature, and I am already freaking out. I have been playing with this. We have our pop show and our end of the year events coming up soon. So I'm building my events right now on Ludus, and they have this volunteer feature that's like Sign Up Genius, but it's way better and more detailed, and you can send an individual link to a person that then they do create an account on Ludus, which I think is really cool because then we can tag them in the future for future volunteer things. So if you have parents come collect uniforms or take tickets at the door, any of those types of things, it's a great new feature that's added right there into your ticketing site. So head to ludus.com/philosophy where you can see some of those features and start using them today. Patreon members really keep this show going financially every month, making sure all the costs are covered out of pocket. But they also get access to my Google folder of goodies, the private podcast feed. They find out who's coming on the show ahead of time, and a variety of other fun little conversations that we're able to have over on the Patreon page. The producers and inner circle at Patreon are Brannigan Lawrence, Brian Long, Chandler Smith, Venture Studios, Jonah Clixbull, Angie Schilling, David Kowalczyk, DF, Kyle Peterson, Max Jackson, Michael Herron, Ryan Main, and Stephen Kathy Kakachik. All right, everybody, we are here with Jeremy Sovoy Jordan, and we will be talking about a variety of things, music and community. We'll be talking about the Oakwood Aeolians, and we'll be talking about what it's like to kind of jump into a legendary program. I've been excited to talk to Jeremy for quite a while. We've been finally able to connect and make this happen. So, Jeremy, welcome to Philosophy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about this, and I'm looking forward to talking with you today.
All right, who is Jeremy Jordan? Where do you come from? What is your background, and what led you to taking over one of the most famous choirs in the world over the last few years?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start a little bit from the beginning. So I was born and raised here in Huntsville, Alabama. This is where Oakwood University is located. Just got an opportunity and a chance to be exposed to all types of music. My mother is a singer as well. She doesn't sing too much now, but she just really exposed my brother. Me and my brother have one brother, younger brother. She just exposed us to all types of things. One of my first kind of musical memories is dancing dancing in the living room with her to Unforgettable, the Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole version. And when I was a young boy, she taught us Blue Christmas by Elvis singing it. So she just introduced us to different musicians. I remember she would always take us to different choir concerts and just growing up singing with her in church. Ended up enrolling at Oakwood University. That's where I got my undergraduate degree in vocal performance and pedagogy. And I got the opportunity and the chance to be a part of the Aeolian in the group 2009 to 2013, and got the opportunity to study under Dr. Jason Ferdinand. Graduated in 2013, ended up taking a job at Miami Union Academy, which is a K through 12 institution in North Miami, and just got an opportunity to make mistakes, to learn, to teach, to grow, and to, I would like to think, make an impact on the young students there. It was awesome to be able to have a platform that young, and to just really be able to immerse myself and to get that type of experience. At some point, I decided that I wanted to continue my education and continue to learn, and so I started my master's program at FIU, which is Florida International University, and got a chance to study with Dr. Kate Longo there. 2022, the opportunity to come back here to Oakwood. It just came across, I guess, my way, and applied for this position and was able to get it. And funny thing is that I thought I would never come back home. I really loved Miami. I loved South Florida. Really connected with the people there. Made lots of friends and families, connections. Met a lot of people in the music world, the music community there. But the opportunity to come back home, to be around family and to serve in this capacity, it was just very appealing. And I felt like that was the next step for me in my life, and really felt that calling to do that. So now I'm here, and it's been great.
That's awesome. Now, of course, my first thought and my first question is, what were you thinking jumping in to follow Jason, and what has that been like? Of course, he was your teacher. I just know so many people would be so nervous to jump into those kind of shoes. What has that been like, or has it been totally smooth and there are no adjustment periods? How would you describe that?
Yeah. I think whenever there's a transition of leadership, there's always going to be an adjustment period.
Hmm.
Always, it's just natural. But I will say that, surprisingly, there weren't even there weren't any nerves, and I don't know why. But people ask, did you feel pressure? Did you feel nervous? And I honestly didn't. And I think it's because, one, I do feel prepared. Like, I have a wonderful teacher. And he's just a phenomenal person, a phenomenal educator, a phenomenal musician. And being able to have the opportunity to study under him, and to watch him, and my teachers here, my professors here, my private instructors from Oakwood, who I believe are some of the best, not only educators, music educators, but human beings and persons as well. And so I felt confident in the things that I learned from them, and that just kind of put me at ease. Which many of those same professors are still here, and now I can call them colleagues, and so that's pretty cool as well. I think also the fact that I'm from here, it didn't feel any pressure as well too, because I'm coming home, and I grew up in this community. I grew up in this area. A lot of people have seen me and my brother grow from infants to adulthood, and so people were very supportive, and they constantly would come up to me and just tell me, be yourself. You don't have to fill anybody else's shoes. You fill your own shoes. And I think the fact that they know me, and that they have a personal connection with me, and they want to see me succeed. And that's not to say that they wouldn't say that to anybody else who would be coming in who didn't have a connection already to this community. But I think those several things just allowed me to just not feel any pressure, to not feel any nerves, and to and also understanding and knowing that that I'm going to continue to grow. The
Right.
students are going to continue to grow, and just it's okay to start wherever you start, and you just continue to grow and you get better at it. So I think those things just really played a huge role into me, um, just not sweating it too much. And of course, you want to do a good job, but it didn't make me feel like, man, I don't know if I can live up to these expectations.
Right. No, that's really good, and that's actually refreshing because so many colleges and universities put such a premium on the person they're bringing in, as opposed to like hiring from within, almost like from within the family. It sounds like you're very much a homeboy in that sense, and that you're from Huntsville, but you also went to Oakwood. You understand the tradition. I think it's cool to see a university going that direction, where they're thinking, okay, we want to get somebody here who knows this culture and who knows what the Aeolians are all about, and how to keep that tradition alive. And so what I'm interested in next from you is, what is it about the tradition of the Aeolians and about music at Oakwood that is so special, but also so compelling enough for you to move from Florida back home to do this job? What attracted you?
Well, definitely the students. I'll start with them. Just being able to be in that environment, and as a student, and knowing, my friends who are part of that program. I also had students that I taught in high school who got an opportunity and a chance to go on to Oakwood and to be a part of the Aeolians, and just knowing some of the people that they had the opportunity and the chance to be in that group with as well. Oakwood has just phenomenal students. That's one a part of it, and I think because just of the history and the culture of the conductors that the group has had, and just many different alumni to come from the school. Like the students, they start listening to, like, I had one student tell me, she was like, man, and she was joking about it. She's like, I feel so lame now, but she's like, I was an Aeolian junkie, and she's a senior now. She's like, I would just watch all the videos online, and that's very helpful, of course, in this social media age. They
Hmm.
get the opportunity to really see all these performances, but I just think that there's just always been a rich tradition and history of musicians to come from this school, and these students see it. And a lot of their parents are musicians as well too. We have one student, her father is in Take Six,
Mm.
and then her mother is a part of a group called Virtue, phenomenal trio of sisters who sing. And so and I could go so forth. We have other students who their parents were in the Aeolians, and who sing, and who travel and tour and get the opportunity to just be exposed to high level of music at an early age. So I think that just that culture and that tradition, it really helps. For those people probably know, but for those who don't know, Take Six, members of Take Six went here to Oakwood.
Hmm.
Um, Stevie Mackey, who's a celebrity vocal coach, Shalea Frazier, who travels and has toured with David Cos and Quincy Jones and Stevie Wonder and David Foster, Amber Bullock, who won BET's Sunday Best, and there are like so many others who I can name. Brian McKnight went here for a certain amount of time as well, and Wintley Phipps, and just so many others who I could name. And the students, they get it, they're exposed to that, they see that, so that tradition, it just keeps going. And those who are gone on to do things. We have singers right now who are at the Met, Christine Jobson, and one of our professors, Michael Parham, and Brandy Sutton, of course, Angela Brown. So the cycle, it just keeps repeating, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it is really quite a remarkable story. It also kind of brings to mind the broader the broader musical tradition, specifically within HBCUs too, because I've in fact I had one of my first, probably within the first 11 or 12 episodes of this show. I've been doing it for 5 years now, and I had Jason on as one of my first guests that were kind of going to reach a wider audience. And one of the very, I would say probably 15 or 20 minutes of that episode, we just talked about the musical tradition of the HBCU, and how much about that I just didn't know. I didn't know like some of the philosophical underpinnings of just the concept of teaching the students a musical version of this phrase "black excellence," for example, that we hear a lot about. And I was just scrolling on the Instagram for Aeolians, and I see that term pop up a lot. And there's this idea that that excellence. In fact, I'm going to going back into the history of it, and I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but for my listening audience might not know. When HBCUs were starting, the idea was that black people in the U.S. were being excluded from a certain type of quality of education. So then the HBCU says, we're going to offer that to our students. We're going to offer what they're being kept from. And then, of course, that's been cultivated over the last, many, many years to get to the point where the Aeolians, in many people's minds, are one of the best college choirs out there. What is it about that HBCU tradition, and maybe even if you could comment a little bit about the teaching philosophy that group has had over the course of the many years of its great tradition? What makes it so good?
Well, and
I know it's a
that's
big question.
right. Well, I'll just say, and this is not to say that, because there's so many choirs that do this, and outside of the HBCU tradition. But I will say, just being a part of that, that the attention to just detail, and like, just it demands excellence. We have to be excellent. And I just feel that, if I'm just speaking from my personal experience, like, I feel that sometimes we as Black people just have no choice but to be excellent, and that sometimes we have to work twice as hard. And like I said, that's not to say that nobody else is working, hard, or twice as hard. But I think we've been blessed with just so many great musicians, and so many great educators, and so many great teachers, and they've been able to pass that knowledge on. I think about Dr. Nathan Carter, who for many, many years and decades was at Morgan State, right? And what's kind of cool about that, and just kind of talking about that, he taught Dr. Lloyd Mallory, and Dr. Lloyd Mallory got his master's at Morgan State, I believe, which in turn, Dr. Mallory went to Oakwood and was the Aeolian director, and was the Aeolian director when Jason Max Ferdinand was a student. And then Jason Max Ferdinand goes to Morgan State as well and studies under Dr. Nathan Carter, and is able to come back and to take that expertise and to take that knowledge and bring that back to Oakwood as well. And to a certain extent, I feel like, which I guess I am, a part of that Nathan Carter tree, or that Nathan Carter branch, even though I never got the opportunity or chance to meet him. I believe he passed in the early 2000s. So I think that we just had great educators, great musicians, and understanding and knowing that we have to put out excellence, and we work hard to produce that. We work hard to make sure that we are the best musicians that we can be. And I tell the students all the time too. There are other groups that work hard too. There are other choirs that work hard, and that are great and phenomenal choirs outside of the HBCU tradition. It's kind of a big question, but those are, I guess, some of the things that I will say that I kind of look at, and just being blessed with great musicians and great educators, and them just training the next generation, and handing that down, and just us understanding and knowing, like, we have to make sure that that we uphold this tradition as well too, and that we're doing our part as individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. How would you describe the typical, like, kind of the makeup of the Aeolians in terms of what they're there at Oakwood to study? Are they, what percentage music majors, for example? And, who makes up the group typically from the campus?
Right. So it just really depends, and there are a large. It's a diverse group in terms of their disciplines and their studies, what they're learning, what they're majoring in. I find that almost every year, though, there's a high amount of biology majors.
Hmm.
um, just always. It was like that when I was there, and we have a bunch of biology majors here as well too. One of the cool things that I find now, though, and it happens in the past, but before too. Like some of them might be double majors, so they might be biology and music. With the concentration in either voice or piano or recording arts and composition. Some of them this year are minoring in music, and we have a program that allows students. It's different from a double major and it's different from a minor, but you can have music as a second major. And that is something that they started this year to encourage people, because you may have some people who they really want to do music, and maybe their parent was said, you have to go into this field, but it allows them to be able to do both, and it crafts that program to where it's not overwhelming for them as a student. But we have students from all over. We are a Christian institution. We have theology majors. We have biology majors, chemistry, people who are in the pre-dental program. We have education majors, music education, early elementary education. We have a student who's a double major in Spanish. We have social work, of course, music majors, math majors. And I don't want to get too much because I always forget. And then the students like, Mr. Jordan, you forgot my major. But they study all over.
That's really cool. And I figured it was that way. I just wasn't sure. Choralosophy listeners will remember RyanMain.com, but he has recently created EndeavorMusicPublishing.com, which is something different, something bigger, and something better. Endeavor is not a marketplace. It's a traditional publisher with a 21st century business model, which means that they have editing. Each piece is chosen and selected with accessibility in mind. Endeavor supports composers with a majority of the sales going right to the composer. Plus, there are tons of voicings to fit the needs of your program, instant downloads, full recordings, practice materials, and more. So head over to EndeavorMusicPublishing.com now and check out the catalog. Don't forget, music educators can save money when they use the Choralosophy discount code at websites they should probably be going to anyway. Those websites are SiteReadingFactory.com for your membership and your students' memberships, which is crucial, MyMusicFolders.com anytime you need choir folders or other paraphernalia, and sheet music at GraphitePublishing.com and EndeavorPublishing.com. The sound of the group, and I've been a Aeolians fan for probably 7 or 8 years now. Prior to that, I didn't really know anything about it, and so I came across, like you said, the benefit of the social media opportunities to get a choir's sound out there, and then of course the big ACDA National in Kansas City brought them to a lot of people's attention, and what I'm interested in too is that there is a sound that is a lot of people would think of as a very particular sound that the Aeolians do. And I would describe it with a certain approach to diction that is a little bit different than how a typical American choir would sound. And of course, we also see a different approach to, and I've noticed this in your Instagram since you've taken over the position, that there's an interesting approach to programming as well as into the repertoire. I don't know, it's hard to say. I would say diverse, but diverse is the wrong term. I would say eclectic. The different types of music that you guys will perform. How much of that is just like, hey, Jeremy just fits philosophically with what the Aeolians do, and then where would you draw the line then between what is like the new ideas that you have been bringing in the last couple of years to the sound and to the programming?
Yeah. Well, first I'll say it's really interesting because so I was watching a video on YouTube from the Aeolians in I think 1985, and while it sounded different, man, there were some things that the group was doing that was like, wait a minute, like that's today,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that same thing that same sound, and the way they sounded in 1985, like this group still kind of does some of those things, and I was like, man, that's really cool because people talk about the Aeolian sound and you hear, but I guess sometimes just being a part of it and being in it, you sometimes I just don't really pay any attention to it. It's probably something that I'm just used to.
Yeah, I would
Um,
imagine.
but I will say, we do have, uh, I guess, feeder institutions as well too, and I think what helps is that some of those individuals who conduct at these institutions, these high schools and these academies, some of them probably went to Oakwood as well too, and just were in that tradition,
Huh.
and so they teach their choir, they train their choirs like, I guess, younger high school Aeolians, and that just kind of approach to sound and the way that they sing as well too, and approach things. So that way, like they just been hearing it, they've been immersed in it, and when they come to Oakwood, of course, there's some things that are different and that they will learn, but they kind of already understand and know for the most part what's expected. Um, I think probably just of course, not even think. My teachers, likes and preferences have rubbed off on me. And there are also some things that I do differently, and some things that I've been exposed to as well that I like. But a lot of that I think has rubbed off on me as well too, and just kind of being in that culture, and just kind of really. Um, Kind of continuing that tradition. And I don't know, it's just hard to explain, like, because I can tell them, like, all right, right here, I want you guys to give like the Aeolian sound, and then we'll run through a measure or run through a phrase, and they just immediately lock in and do it. It's just really not something that I've kind of just really scientifically thought about or tried to break down. And I appreciate you asking that question because it's something that I probably should do and would like to do. But it's just interesting. And it's something that traditionally has been around, and it changes from of course director to director because they have their style and their flair and just different philosophies with them. But for the most part, it's kind of stayed consistent.
Yeah. What about the programming and the repertoire? How has your philosophy been there since you've taken over, and how do you put together a program? Where do you go for the repertoire? How would you describe the diversification of the different types of music that the kids do at the Aeolians?
Mhm. Right. So I don't, and this is something that I want to do more, but I don't, some programs they might like, I remember when I was at FIU, we might have an American music concert. And we might do like Shenador or folk songs or different things like the more thematic um, concerts that kind of feature a theme, and that's something that I personally haven't done here at Oakwood. It's something that I am going to start looking into and doing more when it comes to our concerts and stuff like that. But pretty much what I do, there are songs that I start looking in the like really now, to be honest. But the summer, I really do spend just a ton of time really exploring different options and when it comes to music and repertoire that I want to do. But I really think about the type of group that I may have. And then also too when you get them in front of you and just kind of seeing what type of group you have and try to shape my repertoire based off of that. What are their strengths? What do they do well? And as we kind of build an identity as the semester goes on, you add more rep. You say, okay, I'm starting to see what we're really, really good at. They would sound great at this piece on this
Mhm.
piece or to work on. I would like to explore our how we approach this type of thing, and so like I may give them a different piece, but it's not something that I just kind of go in right away saying like we're gonna do all of these pieces. I like to kind of see, I'll pick a handful and then based on like our characteristics and how we sound on different things, I like to go from there and picking different things. I honestly just like to just do a different variety of things. So we'll do all types of things in our concerts. This year, I noticed I was like, man, we haven't done uh, any like maybe you could say classical standards. So I'm like, next year, all right, we're probably gonna do some Bach. We're gonna do some Mendelssohn.
Mhm.
Looking at those types of things, and just making sure that I give them a well-rounded education and a well-rounded experience where they sing all types of genres, music.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like it's not too far away from how I approach programming at the high school level in my job because, I've given up a long time ago on the idea that we should, as educators, that we should feel guilty if our students don't experience like every aspect of music every single semester all the time. Like we can't. There's just not enough time in the day, and they've got other stuff to do. But I do kind of look at it over the long run and notice gaps, like, oh, we haven't done enough of music of this kind or from this time period or whatever. We should probably get something in there so that my philosophy on it is that at least I want them to be exposed to as many different types of things as I possibly can, because who knows which one is going to light their fire? What kind of music is going to light their fire? So their tastes are so diverse, also within a choir. Does it sound like we're kind of singing the same tune there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just some of the things I'm really excited. I haven't done some of the things that I kind of fell in love with in choir, but I'm looking forward to when I was in high school, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to introducing them to some of those things. So like O Magnum Mysterium, Morton Larson,
Mm-hmm.
and just different John Rutter pieces. Like those were the pieces that just made me absolutely fall in love with choral music, and so I'm interested and excited to introduce this current group to some of those artists and people that I love, and then also exposing them to some different things that we might not have done this year or last year under my leadership here.
Yeah, and right as we were signing on, you were telling us about, or telling me before we started about a Sundays thing that you're doing, and you've got a bunch of of the choir singing and recording a bunch of things that are relatively new. So that I guess that might fit into this part of the conversation too. You might be busy doing this kind of stuff, so that you can't do as much of the other kind of stuff. So tell us about this Sunday program that you're doing.
Right, yes, and it's always a balance too. But we started this series called Sample Sunday, and this it's an idea that I've always had and that I always wanted to do. And when I first got the idea, I was thinking about just doing it myself, where I would like kind of do arrangements of different songs. I would just go in, record some vocals, sing the lead, do some background harmonies, but when I got this position, I was like, you know what, man, it would be awesome for the Aeolians to do that. And so, pretty much what Sample Sunday is, it's an opportunity and a chance for us to sing music that different music that the Aeolians maybe haven't typically done. So, for example, we did "Isn't She Lovely?" Stevie Wonder, and it was arranged by another alumnus, Armand Hutton. We did an arrangement of "Moon River" that was done by David Von Kempen, a great friend of mine, amazing composer and arranger, who's on faculty at the University of Nebraska. We did Edelweiss by Trip Carter. And Trip is actually somebody when we first posted the first song, which was Moon River, I made a call to any composers and arrangers out there who would like to submit a piece. And Trip, he DM'd me and he was like, "Man, I would love to submit a piece and have you guys do it." So we did that arrangement by Trip. We did an arrangement of "Amazing Grace" by Deidre Robertson, and so it's just cool and been fun for us to learn these things. The goal is not perfection, but to just have fun, to learn, and to just put something out there that people would like. So we're learning these things fairly quickly. Fairly quickly. It's one that's kind of been kicking our butt a little bit, but we just recorded. I think they got it. So I'm excited and looking forward to that one as well too.
That's very cool. And yeah, I've seen some of the recordings and that you just mentioned on the Instagram. I encourage everybody to go check them out. Very cool stuff. Well, Jeremy, let's change gears just a little bit because I know that you are passionate about the ways that your group and your music program there can be impactful in Huntsville, in the local community, which of course is kind of above and beyond the just the basic choral pedagogy, but in a lot of ways it's not, in the sense that a choir is a community, and teaching students to extend that out into the community, of course, is very important. So, what are your philosophies about that, and what kind of things are you doing there with the Aeolians in the community?
Yeah, so first thing I'll say, me and my brother, we benefited from community programs and the opportunity to be in the Huntsville City Boy Choir and the opportunity to take violin lessons, which was a program that was funded by the city of Huntsville for students to be able to come to take violin lessons for free. And I realize and I see how being able to participate in those types of programs and to be able to be exposed to things, how it shaped who I am today. My brother is also, I mention him a lot too because he's also a musician and he's 2 years younger than me. He went to Oakwood, he was in the Aeolians as well. He's a conductor, he's had different positions conducting, phenomenal singer. His name is Justin. So I can't talk about me without talking about my brother. That's just how we are, and he's a phenomenal musician as well.
That's awesome.
But we got the opportunity to just be exposed to things, and I truly believe in representation, and I truly believe in exposure. And as somebody who taught K through 12 at Miami Union Academy, I've seen how when students are exposed to something, how it just changes their thought process, their minds, and what they see is possible. So one of the things that I just wanted to continue to do was for the Aeolians to have a presence in the community, but also to have more of a presence in the schools. So this year we've had the opportunity just in Huntsville to go to a few local high schools to be able to interact with those students. I have two student workers. I've also taken them to, I've done a lot of work at Lee High School, which is a local high school here, and that's where I went to school. And I do plan to, branch out, and I've been able to go to just different schools as well, too, Huntsville High School and Jimson High School as well, too. But I've taken some of my students, and they've got a chance to interact with the students, to teach them, to work with them. And I think that's cool, too, because one, my students get that experience as well too, and the young people that we're going in front of, they get an opportunity to learn something from somebody who's a little bit more closer to them in age, right? So those are just some of the things that we've been able to do, and then too, it's cool when we travel, we get an opportunity and a chance, if our schedule permits, to go into schools as well and to go into the classrooms and to just present to our programs to them, to have an intimate type of setting, to answer any questions that they may have, to tell them about college, about Oakwood, who we are, what we want to represent, and just to bring joy and happiness and peace to people. I truly believe that we have to serve our community. And it's cool and amazing that we're this global or the globally recognized choir, and so many more eyes are I guess being fixated on the group and what they've been able to do at the 2019 ACDA. But I also believe like what's important around here as well too. And if we're going out and being a blessing to others and sharing with others, then we should be able to do that right here with the people that are next door to us, so to
Yeah.
say. So that's just something that I'm really excited about, and looking for more opportunities to just expand that and to create partnerships with these schools, and to create programs to where these individuals can come to Oakwood, they can come on campus and be able to continue to learn and explore music.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too because what you're describing is really a metaphor in a lot of ways for what a choir is. A choir is a community. We have responsibilities to the person next to us in a choir. I don't just sing and expose everyone to my talent, and then AKA the choir gets better, right? It doesn't work that way. We have to work together, and so in a lot of ways, you're teaching your students that metaphor by paying it forward into the community. Just like in a choir rehearsal, we rely on each other. And we hear a lot about how the value of education is to teach more than just music, and to teach us more about kind of the concept of being a whole person, or be training the whole person. And it's something that you're also passionate about. Do you ever see these types of community activities that you all do together spill into the rehearsal? Is this part of one grand scheme for you to you to turn your students into the best all around musicians and people that you can?
I don't know if it's that well thought out, to be a grand scheme, but I just think it makes us better individuals,
Yeah.
and better people. And I will say this, it is a community inside the group, and these students they're absolutely phenomenal. And I can't say it enough, to just how great individuals they are, and great persons and great people they are. And you really see that they support one another in the group. They get along. Of course, when you have a large group of people together, there may be tension from time to time. We're on buses for weekends and tours and different things of that nature. But for the most part, they all really get along. And I'm not saying that lightly. And it's a community. So I have seen that inside of the choir room, and I think because they get along and they're so community minded and family oriented, it helps us to sound better. I truly believe that. I truly believe that, because one, people want to be there, they want to come, they want to do their best. And if the culture wasn't like that, then you don't get the best out of everybody. But because it's such a pleasant environment, and because they get along and they want to come and they want to see each other. They greet each other before rehearsal. Sometimes I have to kick them out after rehearsal because they're just all, just standing around, and talking to one another, and just really having that type of bonding time and fellowship with one another. So I have seen that community inside of the group as well. And then it transfers and it goes out when they talk to people, when they meet with the students, when we go in and after concerts, I always tell them to go out into the audience and go talk to people. Don't just go back into the green room or wherever we were being held. Go talk with people, engage with them, and you see that as well too. And it's genuine. They truly mean it, and they enjoy doing it. So I do see how that is, seeped into the actual core room.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, that's wonderful. And it sounds like almost when you describe the culture of the group and the kids that are there, almost like a healthy peer pressure that happens. Like they arrive with knowledge of the history of the ensemble. They arrive with kind of some exposure in many ways to the sound of the Aeolians, and then they arrive to on campus and they're in the group, and they're seeing all this community work, and it sounds like a very you can say there's no grand scheme, and that's fine. Maybe there's not, but it sounds like a very well cultivated culture.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It really is. And we've just been able to continue to grow as the year has gone on. So I was joking, but I'm serious. I told the seniors, I told a couple of them, I said, man, I'm gonna be fighting back those tears when you all graduate. Because it's just been just a wonderful culture that has been cultivated, and we really are family.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any big music dreams or project dreams for the Aeolians coming up?
Oh man, so many. But to be honest, I'm just open to just the many endless possibilities. And my goal is to just continue to better myself, to continue to learn. I believe that we're lifelong learners, and is to continue to educate my students, to get to challenge them to think, and just be open to, whatever may happen. Who knows? I just kind of will share some things. We had the opportunity to sing on 2 tour dates with Samira Joy and her family during her Christmas holiday tour. For those who may not be familiar with Samira Joy, I highly encourage you to go listen to her. She is a phenomenal musician and a phenomenal person, as well as her family and her father, Mr. Antonio McClendon. But that just kind of came out of the blue. That opportunity, and just was something that I really wasn't expecting, and so I use that as an example. As just I'm open to just whatever may happen. And my responsibility and what I'm focusing and working on now is just to be the best educator that I can be, to continue to learn, to continue to grow, and to pour all of myself, my knowledge into my students.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds great. It sounds like you're doing an awesome job. And like I said earlier, when we were talking, the group sounds great too. I mean, they're doing such a wonderful job, and it must be an amazing thing to be a part of such a history and tradition. And you're just doing amazing things with the kids, and I'm sure they appreciate having you there. Anything else you want to share with us that I just didn't give you a chance to share on the way out? Or any kind of parting thoughts for people?
No, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity and for inviting me. I know this is something that we've been trying to make happen for a while, but I definitely enjoy your show and what you're doing, and the different guests that you have on, and just the information that you share, and for just causing us to think and to look at things differently, and to not to continue to look at it from a place that it's just always been, but maybe have us think, well, what if we tried it this way? And it won't be the end of the world. So I really appreciate how you have just fostered an environment, a culture for people to think outside the box. So just really grateful and thankful for that. As for as anything else, I'm just thankful and grateful to be in this place. Thankful for my teachers and my mentors and the people that I'm able to lean on and to get advice from, and for the students, and I learn from them as well too. So it's just been wonderful, and looking forward to just continuing this journey.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate you for keeping that Aeolian's sound and tradition alive, and of course adding your own spin, and we'll of course continue to see what that spin is over the next few years. But I'm such a huge fan of the group, and so it does my heart good to see that. And tell the group that I said hi, because I'm a big fan, and so I'm excited to see what they do in the future. Jeremy, thank you so much for being with me.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you all for listening to this episode. As always, the way that we keep Choralosophy moving into the future. We just hit 5 years, and the way we hit 5 more years and continue to grow and expand, the way that this platform can be valuable to you, the listener, and can continue to be valuable to the music education landscape, is you being involved. The ways that you can be involved, of course, are entering the Choralosophy promo code at all the websites that allow that. They are amazing partners that have been with us mostly since the beginning. That's SiteReadingFactory.com, MyMusicFolders.com. That is also EndeavorPublishing.com and GraphitePublishing.com. You can also, of course, go over to Ludus and check out their products. You can do the things directly for the show that help, like go to patreon.com/Choralosophy and chip in $3 a month. And if you can't do any of those things, I just want you to join the conversation. So head on over to the Choralosophers Facebook page, like, share, leave comments anywhere that you're able to see the content. Those help other people join the conversation as well. We are building a movement here, and we want you to be a part of it. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.